Finding slopes of lines parallel and perpendicular to a line given the form ax plus by equals c. This form ax plus by equals c is also known as standard form of a line. It's not very good at telling us what the slope of the line is or what the y-intercept of the line is. When we're looking at finding the slope of a parallel or perpendicular line, we really need to have this in y equals mx plus b form so that we know what the slope is. So our first step is going to be changing it to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. So we're looking at the original line. X plus 6y equals 6. To get it in mx plus b form, I'm going to subtract the x off both sides because I want y by itself. 6y is equal to, we can't combine 6 and negative x together, so I'm just going to make this negative x plus 6. Then, to get y completely by itself, I'm dividing everything by 6. These 6's cancel. You have negative x over 6. This is the same thing as negative 1/6 x. So if you had something like x over 2, this is the same as 1/2 x. So I have y equals negative 1/6 x, and then plus 6 over 6 is 1. This y-intercept here doesn't even matter when we're talking about the slope of the parallel line and the perpendicular line. The parallel line is going to have the same slope as the original. So the slope of our parallel line is going to be the same as the slope of this line we just found, which is negative 1/6. So that's the number right in front of the x is the slope. So negative 1 over 6. For perpendicular lines, the slope is the negative reciprocal. It's easier to think of this as being, as flip the fraction, change the sign. Some people like to look at this as opposite reciprocal, so maybe I'll say opposite reciprocal here. The slope is the opposite reciprocal. Of the original. So if our original is negative 1 over 6, flipping the fraction, you would get 6 over negative 1, and you want to make it the opposite sign, so we'll just get rid of the negative. So flipping the sign, so if it's negative, you make it positive, and then flip the fraction upside down. 6 over 1, which is positive 6. So the slope of the perpendicular line is 6. So there are a few steps here, but it's not too terribly bad. Let's go ahead and do another one. What's most important is that parallel is the same as the original and that perpendicular is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So we have the line negative 8x minus 7y equals 3. We're going to put it into y equals mx plus b form. First, we need to move the x's over. We have negative 7y equals 8x plus 3. To get y by itself, we need to divide by negative 7, but if you divide by -7, you need to divide by -7 on everything. So y is equal to -8/7x. And then because you're going to be adding a negative number, I'm just going to make it a minus sign, -3/7. This y-intercept doesn't even matter because we're not going to use it in the answer to what is the slope of the parallel or perpendicular line. So this is the slope of the original line. The slope of the original is the same as the slope of the parallel. So the parallel slope is going to be -8/7. The perpendicular slope our original slope was negative, so our perpendicular slope will be positive. And if you flip the fraction upside down, you would have 7/8. And that's your answer. All right, one more for good measure. Here we have 6x minus 9y equals 1. So with the original line, I'm going to put it into y equals mx plus b form, which is also known as slope-intercept form. So 6x minus 9y equals 1. Once again, I am moving those x's over, so subtracting 6x on both sides. We have -9y equals -6x plus 1. To get the y by itself, I'm dividing by -9, and I'm dividing everything by -9. Now, -6 over -9 can be reduced. First of all, two negatives make a positive, so it's 6/9, and then both the top and the bottom are divisible by 3, so it reduces to 2/3. You could do that in your calculator too. If you put -6 over -9 into your calculator, it will reduce for you. So -6 over -9 is 2/3 x, and then minus 1/9 is the y-intercept of this line. So its slope is 2/3, which means the parallel line will have a slope of 2/3. The perpendicular slope has an opposite reciprocal for a slope. So if our parallel slope is positive, our perpendicular slope will be negative. And then if you flip the fraction upside down, instead of 2/3, you would have 3/2. So the perpendicular slope is -3/2. And that's that for this one. Put it into slope-intercept form, find the parallel slope, and then opposite sign, and take the reciprocal to find the perpendicular slope, and you totally got it. All right, I'll see you guys in another video.